Adam Schiff is a Democrat from California. He serves on the House committee investigating the January 6th attack. He was the lead impeachment manager in Donald Trump's first impeachment trial, and he joins me now. And Congressman, first, just your reaction to this news about the Department of Justice, its significance, and what you think about it.
Well, if accurate, I have no reason to believe it isn't. It is significant, and frankly, I think it's long overdue. We're now well more than a year after this attack on the Capitol. There has been, I think, a consistent level of concern, not just among members of Congress, but among the public, that it shouldn't just be the people who broke into the Capitol that day, but also those who organized that attack that are under scrutiny. I will feel, frankly, better about whether the department is doing everything it should, though, when I see signs that it is looking beyond the attack of the 6th at some of these other multiple lines of effort to overturn the election, as Judge Carter in that, incredible opinion this week found were evidence of likely criminal activity by the former president.
Yeah, I want to just read that the judge wrote that Trump's actions more likely than not constitute attempts to obstruct an official proceeding, which would be that is criminal obstruction of the counter-presidential electoral votes in Congress. They fall under the crime fraud exception and must be turned over. I think there, obviously that's not the standard of proof that would be necessary to convict at trial, but it's a remarkable finding by a sitting federal judge presented with briefing and evidence to say that it's more likely than not the president committed this official felony. And, I guess my feeling watching all this the whole time is this, what Trump did in the context of the U.S. is unprecedented, but not in the context of the world, right? People try coups or they try to stay in power. Usually it's kind of a shoot the moon situation. Like you succeed and you grab the machinery of the state, or you don't and you face consequences. It is pretty rare to try one, fail, and then just kind of hang out at your golf course for a while, which is what's happened here.
Well, that's exactly right. And, it's important to recognize that yes, there is a different standard than the one Judge Carter applied. He didn't need to find proof beyond a reasonable doubt to order those documents turned over to Congress. But you also don't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt to start an investigation.
Right.
Indeed, you almost never have proof beyond a reasonable doubt when you just begin the investigation. And if a federal judge is saying that there is, proof that more likely than not Donald Trump engaged in a crime, trying to overturn the election, and that is well substantiated by his opinion, that is a pretty sufficient basis for the Justice Department to say, we ought to look into that. And, again, I'm glad they're examining those who may have funded or organized the rally. We've been doing that now for months and months. It's a little late, but I'm glad they're doing it. But they also need to look at these multiple lines of effort to overturn the election. And they need to look at anyone who was involved. No one gets a pass, not a former president, and not someone who never held office before.
Let me ask you about the call logs. It's one of these things where I think that no one has yet sufficiently definitively established there was some post facto tampering or tampering at the time with the actual records, and yet it seems there is no other plausible explanation. What is your theory or belief about how there is a 7-hour gap in those logs?
I have not speculated about the reason for the gap in the logs. And there are a lot of possibilities. Of course, it's possible that the records were deliberately omitting certain calls, but it's possible that there are other explanations that are more benign. And I don't want to rush to judgment. I can't tell you we need to get the answers. I can also tell you that we have multiple sources of information about what the president was doing, and more importantly, as it turns out, what he was not doing while the Capitol was being attacked. So we're not relying just on the logs that we get from the archives. We are talking to witnesses, many of whom were in the room that day with the president, or were knowledgeable about what he was doing, or others that may have been privy to phone conversations. So we're going to complete the picture of what he was doing. And if there was any kind of intent to obstruct, conceal, cover up with respect to those logs, I'm confident we'll get those answers too.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up on that, my understanding is that if there was any tampering, ex post facto, particularly even in the moment, that would involve people, right? I mean, there are other people who are, tasked with this or detailed there by Manara or something that have to do it. So I guess if they tampered with it, we'll find out. Do you feel confident of that?
I do feel confident about that. And, the other thing to bear in mind about the record keeping is I think we have seen enough already to know that the White House wasn't following the law when it comes to record keeping in many respects. All those boxes of documents in Mar-a-Lago, some of which were evidently classified and may have been highly classified, those are also a really serious problem. The reporting of the former president flushing documents down the toilet. So it's not like they don't have a history here of failing to follow the law when it comes to record keeping.
And it's so shocking, too, given what a fetish he has for proper document retention protocols as exhibited in that 2016 campaign. Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you very much.